Guys, welcome back to the vlog. I hope everyone's happy and healthy out there. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and I hope you're taking care of each other. Now today, I'm going to start off with a bit of a rant about technology. That's not even fair to call it a rant because technology is amazing. The level of technology that allows me to have this conversation with you guys out there, it's incredible. 5 years ago, it would have been possible, but it would be much, much less accessible, much more expensive, and really, not as easy to make it as fun as it really is. I will say though that for me personally, and I think this is genetic because my father has it as well, when technology goes wrong, it goes wrong in multiple ways. And that's exactly what happened when I was having a chat to Christoper a couple of weeks ago. Christoper is the owner of Meadow in Malmö, up in Sweden. Anyway, we were having a chat and technology let me down. First thing, I like to set up a couple of different camera angles when I'm having one of these interviews over Skype or Zoom or whatever I was using. It just makes it a bit more interesting that I can shift in between cameras. If one of the cameras goes wrong for a second, then I can shift between another one. And I think it just makes it look a bit more dynamic. The main camera that I was filming with just didn't write the file, so that's missing. And then there was the internet connection. It was just spotty as hell. It broke up a lot through the interview, and in fact the entire last question in the interview is missing, which is really a shame, but it is what it is. The main thing was that it was a really, really good chat, really interesting chat I had with Christoper, and I really want to bring it to you guys. I don't want to bug him to have to do it again. And I think there's a lot of good info out there, or in there, anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a warning going in that it's a bit spotty at times. I've done my best editing things out, but yeah, just be prepared. Okay, I will just leave it there and let's get into the interview. Shall we just start off with, so you can introduce yourself to the CRD audience, like who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Christoper Akesson from Malmö, Sweden. Run a clothing store here in Malmö, Sweden, called Meadow, that I've been working with since late 2008. We're kind of based in we're based in the denim industry, but probably have a little bit more of a contemporary approach to it, I think. A lot of Japanese denim, and then mixed up with some timeless pieces, but also some contemporary fashion from Scandinavian brands, amongst others.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
you've been going since 2008.
Yeah,
Good
the
long.
financial crisis. We opened the same week as everything crashed.
Thing is, I've been talking about this a lot with some of my friends who everybody's worried about what's going to happen and things.
Yep.
But then I remember speaking to, I think it was Pete from Tellison, and
Mhm.
they started also, I think the month of the financial crisis really hit the States hard. And they said it honestly couldn't have been better timing for them because people started reevaluating what was important and looking for quality. Did you find the same thing?
I don't know. Not that I can think of. My only thought was like, well, if we get through this, we get through anything. Uh, and that's kind of it, because I was just about to turn 24 a month later,
Mhm.
and my colleague was 22. So we were just two kids not knowing anything about the world, or we didn't have any experience at all. So we didn't have any references to anything. We heard about this financial crisis and didn't really, all right, whatever, you know.
How did
Turned
the
out to be a pretty big thing.
how did the store get started then?
Uh, I'm from a smaller city or town, actually, 1 hour from Malmö,
Mhm.
and I want to move here because I was tired of the really small cities. So I thought, if I start a store, I do have a job, because I was kind of interested in clothing. as well. So I asked my former colleague, like, because he was more into it, and he was into Japanese denim. He was buying on eBay and stuff before Japanese denim was available in Europe, more or less. So I asked him, "Hey, do you want to open up a store with me?" And he laughed at me and said no, because he was studying design here in Malmö and Lund, I think, the neighboring city as well. So he had everything kind of set up, you know, where he went to school, he learned things, he had his classmates, and he had his parties, and he had the money from the student loan that he gets, you know. So everything was kind of just going well for him with that type of life. But then, so I moved anyways, and then I got a job in Copenhagen in a clothing store, a commercial one. So I worked there for a little bit more than a year, perhaps 14, 15 months or something. And then he called me again, this friend of mine, and he had finished school and ended up in the factory, because there's not a lot of people hiring newly examined designers. So he was at a factory, just working the line, you know. So he called me and said, "Hey, so that store you were talking about, are you still up for it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So I think the day after, we met in the evening, or the evening after, and just discussed what we were doing and what we were supposed to do, and said, "Yeah, this is great." So I quit my job the day after that, and then we just went to the different fashion shows we could, that we knew of, and found a spot, and then we opened up a store in October.
As easy as that, huh?
It is and a bank loan, of course, as well.
Necessary evils. We were talking like a while back. We were just chatting on Instagram about sort of that progression from, I guess it was that sort of heyday of the raw denim, also came along with that kind of like biker rockabilly kind of aesthetic, and obviously things have evolved massively since then. How did you go about evolving the store, evolving the concept, evolving the buy-in?
I think it was just a natural progression. The world changed, and we grew up, and both me and my colleague, who's not my colleague anymore since 3 years back, but we were also both we were pretty restless, I think. So staying in one line and doing that would drive us mad. So we just like the next thing. And so, yeah, when we started out was the rockabilly scene, and then we had the lumberjack thing coming, and then the hiker, and then the biker. And, you know, we've been through all these things. But it was kind of natural. But then we decided, because we were still, I think it was too much of the denim and the heritage for us to just walk around in that circle. Which it's a super nice like scene and everything, but if you work with it and that's all you breathe and see every day, and you do the buying every season, and you just see like, well, there's the type 2, there's the type 1, there's the trucker jackets, there's the 501s, the 66, the 44, you know, it kind of, doing that for 11 years would probably drive us mad, because we're too restless to just stay in one fold. So we just started to dig in to some contemporary things as well, because that's ever evolving and changing.
You find that your customer base evolved along with that?
Not all of them. There are the. What was that?
I was going to say, I guess you'd introduce them to some new PCs, but then also you'd have new customers coming in as well, because you've got this contemporary piece. Yeah,
exactly. So no, there's, of course, we've been. There are people who think we sold out, and you know, you've changed too much. You were much better back in the day, and things like that. And the real heritage denim dude, he can be a bit conservative. He doesn't like too many changes. So we've taken a little bit of heat here and there, but mostly, it's been good.
Yeah.
And people understand. I mean, we are pretty decent guys, and we can, you don't have to like what we're doing all the time, and that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it myself as well. I've seen my interests diversifying. I find that there's other brands out there. Yeah, you look for a certain set of values within a piece of clothing or a brand, and that doesn't necessarily have to be in the heritage scene. Doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of denim. You can find this in other brands as well. And it's always good watching a store or watching anything evolve as it goes along. And
yeah,
I think this is important, as you said, to keep the interest alive.
Yeah, especially my own.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah, of course.
so I'm inspired to do it, because if I'm not inspired to do it, then Meadow would really suck. It would be the worst store in the world, probably.
That reminds me. So I've been seeing like this big space like being filmed on Instagram. Is that your new studio? Is that going to be your new store? What is that? Or maybe I missed the announcement.
No. It's just a space that we got.
Okay.
I don't know. It's weird. So I was actually asking for a small storage space down in the cellar, so I just can put down some old, junk, more or less. Like a 4 square meter tops, like a little shed, more or less. And they said, yeah, you have one downstairs. Haven't we shown you? And it's been like 3 years at this new location. And I said, no, I haven't seen anything. Nobody told me at all. I was like, oh, well, yeah, you do have a space downstairs, but we also have a space upstairs if you want to see it. And I'm like, all right, upstairs, cool. And she showed me, and it's this. I think it's all in all around 800 square meters with a 5 to 6 meter ceiling, and it's just unused. Yeah, it's crazy. It's in the middle of the city, just above the store, and nobody knows of it. But they cannot use it for any commercial purposes, because there is you have to go through a residential staircase and then backyard. Oh. So it's a bit. It's not very good, and there are no windows, which is perfect for me because I don't want any windows in a place like that. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm building a photo studio that will align with the new site coming up and everything eventually, and we the pictures in a different way than we've always have. So yeah, now I have 3 shooting places in the same room that are like in 3 different places, but it's so big. So yeah.
So you can have like 3 different setups at each venue.
3 different stations. Yeah. So like we're gonna shoot pieces laying down on the floor, just like without bodies, and then we're gonna do the styling shooting, and then the detail shooting, and the accessories and boots or sneaker shooting. Okay. So it's like different stations all set up, so I don't have to change around for anything. Everything's set up perfectly from when I get there.
Mm-hmm. With this big leap forward in like the way you're taking images, you're doing the new website and you're doing a new CI, right? Is there going to be a new portfolio coming in at the same time?
No, it's growing already, bit by bit. Mm-hmm. We are taking in new things, new brands, and everything. Almost, yeah. There are a lot of new things coming up. The thing is with the Corona crisis, a lot of businesses, of course, almost every business around the world have been put under some pressure and stress. and with a and that kind of forces things, for business owners to adapt or change or look at things differently, I think. And this has made me look at at things differently. And what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to, and also because it's a crisis, so you could describe it as a huge uphill right now, where everything is, just a challenge, more or less. And what I decided to do with this, there's a Swedish saying, I think it's actually Gothenburg local, but it's like, you cannot break yourself up a hill,
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just stepping on the brakes so you don't fall down, we are just putting in the next gear and the next gear, and just screw this, we're taking off now. And so that's why I'm doing everything. I'm expanding the denim collection. I'm rebranding the whole Meadow and start opening up the new web store. I'm just putting in all money I've ever earned in this crisis, more or less. It's like, either it goes or it falls. I don't know. Screw it,
A really good way to look on it, though. I must admit, in the last 2 months, I noticed sort of a big surge from your Instagram and your Instagram presence that was super, super positive. And I think that's really good, and it's really, really important that just came up at that time. So yeah, just for me personally, that's really a thank you. I think it's great. Really like how you're doing this.
That came from a heartbreak. I was left by my fiance 1 month, or 6 weeks before the wedding.
Okay,
and that was the biggest blow that I've ever experienced in my life, and that was on top of the Corona crisis as well, creeping up on me.
That's really so recent then. Shit.
In end of March, early April. Yeah.
Okay.
So those two things together made me crash completely, emotionally, and I was not in a good place. But that also made, when I was at rock bottom like that, that also made me look at every square centimeter of my life. And it wasn't only the pressure from the Corona, it was actually more this part that actually made me change everything of how I'm doing everything.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, just so you know, it's appreciated. I'm sorry that that's how it happened, but it's it's a positive.
Yeah,
So to say.
it's all right. It didn't work out, and it was better that it happened before we got married and before we had kids. So and great things has come out of it. I appreciate things much more now than I did before. And I also realize what's important. So I'm trying to use Meadow for more than just selling clothes, kind of more to spread some good vibes or positivity or optimism. And now what's happening in the US, trying to, show my support in that area as well. Just, I realized having 24,000 followers on Instagram, it's not a big account, but it's enough to actually tell a story and to actually take a stand for something.
Yeah.
And reach out to people. So that's what I'm doing now as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, another thing you're doing just now is sort of doubling down and also getting your own brand. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this is I've in all of this with I'm talking about my last 3 months now, all in all. And so in all of this,
down.
and I also sold 33% of my company.
Mm-hmm.
To a great player in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they are so damn supportive and send me the best energy I ever could have imagined. I couldn't even imagine it. They've been so supportive. So I texted the CEO of this company and just like, hey, in my mind, this was how it would go down. It was like by the end of the summer or early fall, we'll launch the new website and the new graphic profile and everything. And then I was thinking, how about my own denim brand for next fall? You know, so it's like there's this big event this year, and then there is this big event next year.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I was thinking. So I text the CEO of this other company and ask him like, hey, maybe I should look into starting my own denim brand. What do you think about that? Like start lurking, just work things out. What do I want to do? How do I do it? Who do I contact and stuff like that? And he texted me right back. And he's a busy guy, but he was super excited. So he said, yeah, sounds great. I'll call you in a moment. All right, cool. That was fast. So like 2 hours later, he calls me and says, yeah, can you tell me more about your idea about this own denim brand thing? And I said, yeah, well, I'm just telling the story of what I'm thinking. And it's like, I just want to do one and then two fits, like one regular and one narrow, and like keep it super simple, but just two classic fits. Mm-hmm. And then he asked me like, so yeah, and you want to do this in a like a raw Japanese selvage denim, right? And I was like, no, I want to do it in a one wash, because that's what we sell most with, like from warehouse coming in soon, and Full Count is here, Momotaro, Japan Blue, Pure Blue, TCB, Orslo, which one's more? Yeah, there are a few more. But anyways, you know, and he's like, oh yeah, well, if you want a one wash, then that will be one more step in the production line, and then it will take longer. And you'll probably not have your jeans until the end of the summer. I'm like, I'm sorry, but okay, cool. What summer are you talking about? You know, like, because he's working on a totally different level than I am, because he's been around for so long, and yeah, things big. And he said, yeah, like in 4 months. I'm like, 4 months? Yeah, sure. I don't mind. Like fall this year would be insane if we could get them ready until then. And I was like, yeah, of course. No, that's not a problem. Let me just call this designer, and maybe she can help you out. And I was like, yeah, cool, sure. And then like, so he hangs up on me, and 2 hours later or 3 hours later, she texted me, and she's like, hey, I heard you want to start your own denim brand. Of course you should. Can you come up here next week? I was like, yeah, sure. Like everything is just going in light speed or something. I can't even catch up. That's why I'm working from 8 in the morning till 11 in the evening, because there are so many things happening right now. But that's, so yeah, I just went up and we designed the first pair of jeans, and they are sent with, the measurements are sent to my friend's factory in Japan. Okay. So we're working out the first samples now, and that's it.
So you're going to do them in unsanitized denim, have them one washed.
And now you're breaking up. No, you're froze for a second. Sorry. Yeah. But yes, it's unsanitized, one wash, and that's it. And I'm going to do like small, medium, large, XL.
Oh, okay. So it's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, the Japanese kind of way of doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like tops 5 sizes. And that's about it. I like keep it simple. My best-selling is Orslo and Palette Life Story, and both of them are doing well. Orslo is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Palette is doing extra small to extra large, and it's never a problem. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of just asking the customer, what are you looking for, wide or not wide? It's like, you know, keep it simple. Don't give them too many options. And there is one length.
So don't confuse them at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. And so where in Japan are you getting them produced? Like in Okayama or Kojima or?
Kojima, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I was actually first producing them in Italy, but the designer told me, well, since your friend has a factory in Kojima, you should do it with him, because working should be fun, and working with your friends is fun. So that's what you're doing. I'm like, all right, sounds reasonable.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, it's not, I couldn't argue. It's like, yeah, all right.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah.
And so that's going to drop in August, you said?
Yeah, it would drop in August if it would be in Italy probably, but now things might be a little bit delayed since we changed to Japan instead. So sometime early fall. Okay. And if it's in August, I'm super happy. But realistically, September, late. It's always better to think. Well, it never goes the way you want to anyway.
I mean, it's the summertime. You don't want to be breaking in heavy jeans.
No, it doesn't matter. It's fall is when I sold it in. So
yeah,
it's good if it arrive in September, even early October would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
I just said yes to a project from a friend of mine as well, like session and a half, but then wearing that over the summer is going to be tricky. And that's the first time I've had one wash denim, and it just makes everything so much more easier.
It does. It's like super nice.
I get the unsandfrized, but I get exactly the size that I need, and yeah, it's TCB. You guys carry them as well, and they're just such amazing jeans. I'm totally in love. Like really super comfy, super easy to wear as well.
Yeah, it's we're getting older.
We just like our comfort.
It's too much work. Exactly, squeeze too much. So
yeah,
that's nice.
Some of the guys were saying the other day on the denim hang, it's like, yeah, we get all our guys to buy their jeans like one size smaller, and like you shouldn't be able to do up the top button the first time you try them on. I'm like, no, too old for that.
Yeah, when I was 25, sure. I remember I bought a pair of Lee 101 sets from 52 in 2 sizes too small. But I actually, I jammed that button, and then after half a day's workday, my hip bones were entirely black from blood. I had internal bleeding. It was horrible. And since that day on, it's like, no, I'm good with the right size. I'd rather have them a bit loose. There are belts.
Exactly. Belts are your best friend. They're adjustable.
Exactly.
Maybe this isn't exactly politically correct, shall we say, but to have favorites out of your brands. But is there any, maybe not a brand even you have in the store, but is there any like brands that you see are up and coming that you're really excited about, that you think are doing some amazing things?
There are so many good brands nowadays.
Yeah, it's true, right? It's good.
I mean, there are and since I have one foot in the fashion industry and one in the heritage industry, I love our legacy, what they're doing, which is it's not politically correct in the denim world to say that, but they're doing a really good job. But then you have, still my favorite brand that never disappoints is Orslo. And top-wise and also fatigue-wise, Avantade and Fujitsu are doing such a good job, and they're just getting better by every season. It's the Japanese things. And then you have what Palette Life Story is doing. It's we're still a small brand. I believe we were the first outside of Japan carrying it, and we've been working with them for a couple of years, and they're now popping up a little bit everywhere. But I like the idea that's kind of where I base my own idea of my brand, is where it's non-season. There are no seasons at all. So they just release like, hey, we did a shirt. Like, all right, cool. So do you want it? Yeah, sure. I'll have a shirt. And so there are never. You can never make a newsletter where you're like, yeah, first drop of spring summer 2020 from Palette Life Story, because it never happens. It's like, yeah, we have a shirt. And then 2 months later, we have a new pair of pants from Palette. But it's just like growing really slowly. Just, well, we need to add this to the collection that we need, and yeah, I think it's a way to work actually. So that's kind of, I like Palette for that reason as well. Yeah, but some brands doing great job. I mean, Warehouse and their denim, it's amazing.
What is this Korean brand that you've got in Eastlog?
Eastlog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, they are always doing really nice things. It's very Korean. It would work, and it works well in Korea and Japan, I believe, and also here. But it's a bit more out there, and they're not that established in Europe yet. So, but they are doing super nice things, and I mean, I have a couple of pieces, and I use them a lot, and yeah, but it's like they have this great understanding of military clothing, and they have the Swedish biker military jackets, and they redo that in their own style, so you can see that it's Eastlog, but you can also see that it's this Swedish biker military jackets. And then they have the German jacket, and they have them all, and it's like they're a museum of military clothing, but it's all Eastlog. It's really cool. They're doing a really cool job with that.
Yeah, I'm liking that. It's definitely something I can identify with, and I recognize the touch points, but then they put a certain I don't know, Asian spin it, if that's the right way to put it. Just their own way of looking at things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like new modern technical materials like nylons and stuff, and polyester things. It's cool.
And even mixing up the textures together with a pair of raw jeans, cotton t-shirt, and something like that it's an interesting aesthetic to build upon, and it's interesting seeing that make its way into our realm of the fashion scene, shall we say?
Yeah, exactly. And and that's what I like to do. Mix it up. We have the raw denim and the classic 501 fits, but then mix it up with our legacy shirt and the Eastlog nylon ripstop foul weather jackets. It's a weird look, but but it works pretty easily still.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. It's Of course, not everyone would agree with me, but that's life.
It takes. I think with everything, there's a little bit of a learning curve, right? There's a little bit of inspiration that you have to see. It's like, okay, yeah, if you asked me about this like 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, interesting. Maybe not for me though. But then you see more and more inspiration coming in, and you get a little bit more educated. You see more of what these brands are doing, and you see other brands introducing it into the lineup as well. And so this quite slow evolution is really nice to see. And having that in offers, especially having the availability of that, is also super, super important.
Absolutely, and of course I get exposed because I do the fashion shows and during my buying trips I do Paris, New York, and Japan. So I get super exposed to these new weird things. So they feel natural pretty quick for me. Probably overexposed. and then I'll have to put, there's the only time I use my brake, because I understand that if I would introduce that to the streets of Malmö, it would be like people would look at me and what are you doing? Who is that spaceman?
Everything's got its time.
So yeah, but it's fun.
Well, as you said, that's the most important thing, just keeping it fun. And there we have it. Wasn't that bad, right? I hope. Nah, it wasn't that bad. Guys, if you enjoyed what you saw here, if you enjoyed what we're about, which is mostly about denim, but other menswear stuff, please consider subscribing if you're not already. All the links to our other social media and all the other good stuff is in the description below. And take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Bell icon. I always forget that bell icon. If you want to get notified next time I drop a video, hit that bell icon and you'll get notified. Thanks guys. Take it easy.